For a while, it felt like James Spader had simply disappeared. One moment he was everywhere, stealing scenes, unsettling audiences, leaving that lingering, almost uncomfortable impression long after credits rolled. And then, almost without warning, he was gone. No press tour, no farewell, no big Hollywood announcement. The phone stopped ringing, and the question resurfaced. Why did James Spader step away from Hollywood, and why did he seem perfectly content never to return? The answer starts with his childhood. Spader grew up surrounded by education and expectation. His father taught English at Brooks School, his mother taught art nearby, and he later attended Phillips Academy in Andover, one of the country's most elite high schools. On paper, he had every advantage. In reality, his family lived modestly, scraping by on teacher salaries, and the polished veneer of privilege had a life of careful budgeting. Even in this structured environment, young James was restless. He later admitted to being a terrible student, disruptive and easily bored. He wasn't one to sit quietly in class or follow rules just for the sake of them. Instead, he found other ways to occupy his energy. By age 10, he was hustling, running errands, babysitting, selling anything he could get his hands on, and even putting up a small stand outside his home selling frozen juice concentrate. He even tried his hand at journalism, producing a one-issue campus newspaper with national news, local sports, and his own drawings. It wasn't about impressing anyone. It was curiosity, survival, and the early instinct to create, observe, and act. Spader's parents supported him every step of the way. He admired his father, who ran the dorm where he lived, for his calm authority and fairness. Students behaved not out of fear but respect, a rare quality in an adult and one that left a lasting mark on him. Then he found acting. For the first time, James Spader had focus. The stage felt like a space that was truly his. By 17, he dropped out of school and moved to New York City to pursue acting full-time. The dream met a harsh reality: auditions, rejection, and survival jobs. He shoveled horse manure, worked odd jobs, and even taught yoga despite knowing nothing about it. His method was improvised, chaotic, occasionally comical, yet honest, a pattern that would define much of his career. From the start, Spader never glamorized acting. He was open about the fact that many roles were accepted out of necessity, not passion. But he tried to choose material that was interesting, unusual, or challenging whenever possible. Early on, Hollywood faced a dilemma. He was too handsome for the character roles he felt drawn to, yet not a conventional leading man. When he didn't fit the hero mold, the villain roles followed, and he embraced them. Through the 1980s, Spader became the archetypal slick, morally ambiguous character audiences loved to hate. In Pretty in Pink, his audition reportedly made the casting director recoil physically before realizing it was just acting. By the late 1980s and 1990s, he shifted into leading roles, but never safe ones. His characters were obsessive, sexual, off-kilter, and deeply unsettling. That edge traced back to his upbringing, a household that treated nudity, privacy, and bodies with casual openness. He observed human behavior intimately, shaping a lifelong curiosity about desire, power, and identity. For most actors, turning 40 often signals a slowdown. For Spader, it was when things began to click. He never chased fame. He chose summers with his children over constant work and accepted roles largely out of financial necessity. Yet, the work he did was increasingly compelling. The turning point came with Secretary in 2002. Playing E. Edward Gray, he embodied control, obsession, and emotional distance. Maggie Gyllenhaal recalls their first table read. He barely acknowledged her presence, fixated instead on the character. Their relationship mirrored the film's themes, ritualized, precise, and slightly unsettling. Spader blurred the line between actor and role, creating an authenticity that defined his craft. Television offered a similar stage for his intensity. On The Practice, he played Alan Shore, manipulative, brilliant, charming, and ethically flexible. The role transitioned into Boston Legal, where he partnered with William Shatner. On paper, it shouldn't have worked. Two strong personalities, two actors who often dominated scenes. On screen, however, they balanced perfectly. Spader's calm precision offset Shatner's explosive energy, making the show smart, funny, and emotionally layered. His performance won 2 consecutive Emmys, proving his mastery of both comedy and drama. There were near misses, too. During the casting of Anchorman, he pursued the role of Brick Tamland. The creators hesitated. He was controlled, cerebral, intense, unlike the cartoonish, chaotic Brick. But he understood the humor instinctively. They ultimately cast Steve Carell, and history followed its known path. This episode exemplifies Spader's career. He often saw possibilities in roles that others overlooked, bringing subtlety and depth to characters that might otherwise be one-dimensional. When Steve Carell left the office, Spader stepped in as Robert California. Initially meant to appear in a few scenes, he became central to Season 8. The contrast was immediate. Robert California existed in a different emotional universe than the Scranton staff. While the show thrived on awkwardness, vulnerability, and desperate attempts for connection, California was calm, controlled, and enigmatic. Spader's technical brilliance and intense presence made the character fascinating, but sometimes disruptive. Robert California drained energy from scenes rather than feeding them, challenging the show's comedic engine. The character's detachment highlighted why Spader didn't fit every mainstream mold. He excels at control, nuance, and unpredictability, not traditional ensemble dynamics. Ultimately, Spader's Hollywood disappearance is no mystery. It's intentional. He prioritizes craft over visibility, personal life over constant exposure, and depth over fame. While others chase blockbusters, he selects unconventional roles. Dream Lover, Crash, Secretary, and even voicing Ultron in Avengers, Age of Ultron. He remains an actor celebrated for intelligence, intensity, and moral complexity rather than ubiquity. Off-screen, his choices reinforce his path. In the late 1980s, he started a family, slowing his career to spend summers at home with his children. He has admitted to being indifferent to networking, business management, and Hollywood politics. Money pressure sometimes dictated roles, but Spader has never sought fame for its own sake. Public appearances, interviews, and premieres exhaust him. He prefers to observe life quietly and channel that energy into his work. Spader is known for his meticulous, sometimes obsessive approach. Co-stars describe him halting scenes to perfect gestures or emotional beats. This intensity creates the uncanny, precise performances audiences admire, but can strain collaborations. His on-screen persona, confident, composed, morally ambiguous, defines him. Even attempts at gentler roles are tinged with subtle menace or intensity. From iconic villains to complex antiheroes, Spader carved a rare lane. He is famous without being omnipresent, respected without being mainstream, and admired without courting constant visibility. For now, there are no upcoming projects, and he seems perfectly content that way. His disappearance is not a retreat, but a